On March 14, 2008, a woman living in Utah felt uneasy. For days, she called her parents in California, two people who were always careful, punctual, and loving. But this time, they were completely silent. No calls were answered, no messages were returned. She called the Castlewood Club, where her parents often went, and it was from that call that a door was opened, leading to a tragedy that shook the whole city. When security guards entered the house, they found the bodies of Ernest and Charlene Shearer, a retired couple, lying in their pajamas. Blood splattered all over the house. There was no sign of forced entry. No money was missing, but everything seemed cruel and intentional. An investigation began. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, everyone was shocked. Who could do such a thing to two gentle, elderly people? The police soon discovered something terrifying. The killer was not a stranger, not a nighttime intruder, but a family member, a child, a person who had been helped, loved, but then chose a path of no return. And when security camera footage showed a red Camaro near the scene at the exact moment the crime occurred, the truth began to emerge. Ernest and Charlene Shearer are the epitome of a successful middle-class American family. They live in Pleasanton, California, a quiet community known for its high quality of life. Ernest was successful in real estate and was also a member of the local Board of Education. Charlene is an accounting professor who has dedicated more than 30 years to teaching. Both are retired and enjoy their old age with their families and grandchildren. They love to travel, participate in community activities, and always try to maintain a close relationship with their two children, a daughter and a son. Their daughter lives in Utah and has a stable family. Meanwhile, their son, Ernest Shearer Jr., also known as Ernie, has a much different life. After graduating from college with a degree in economics, Ernie left his business career to pursue a career in poker. He married Robin and had a young son. His family initially supported Ernie financially. Ernest and his wife even lent him over $600,000 to buy a house. However, the relationship between Ernie and his parents gradually became strained, especially when Charlene began to disapprove of her son's lifestyle. From a seemingly perfect family, cracks began to appear quietly, and then leading to an unexpected outcome. Before the tragedy, the Shearer family still maintained a life that many people dream of. Ernest and Charlene spent most of their time traveling, meeting friends, and tending to the small garden around their peaceful house in the Castlewood area. They were planning a vacation to Hawaii with their daughter, son-in-law, and two grandchildren, a trip that was expected as a reward for the whole family after busy months. As for the son, Ernie Shearer Jr., his life was different. As a professional poker player, Ernie moved constantly between big cities, especially Las Vegas, where many tournaments he participated in. Although he sometimes won big and brought home significant amounts of money, Ernie often fell into financial instability, even long-term debt. Although his parents had helped him buy a house, Charlene, a principled person, became increasingly concerned about her son's career and lifestyle choices. According to relatives, the relationship between Ernie and his mother became more strained after she repeatedly expressed her disappointment and disapproval of a career that involved gambling. Ernie's wife, Robin, remained by her husband's side, but she herself faced pressure from his emotional and financial upheavals. Behind the peaceful exterior, the small family seemed to be harboring unresolved conflicts that no one expected would lead to something irreparable. On March 7, 2008, Ernest and Charlene Shearer had a seemingly normal evening. They dined together at the restaurant in the Castlewood Country Club, where they were longtime members. The waiters at the restaurant said that the couple seemed relaxed and showed no signs of anything unusual. After dinner, they returned home around 8 p.m. No one could have guessed that. That would be the last time the two were seen alive. At the same time, in another city, nearly 700 kilometers away, Ernie Jr. appeared at a gas station and fast food restaurant in Nevada. His bill and phone records showed that he was there that afternoon, but after about 3 p.m., Ernie's phone suddenly went dead. From that point on, for nearly 17 hours, all communication from him disappeared, and it was during that time that the tragic incident occurred in Pleasanton. On the evening of March 7, 2008, after returning from dinner at Castlewood Country Club, Ernest and Charlene Shearer changed their clothes and prepared to retire. There was no indication that they were nervous or alert to any threat. Sometime after 8 p.m., investigators assumed an acquaintance knocked on the door of the house, and they opened the door without question. There were no signs of forced entry at the scene, suggesting that the perpetrator had a personal relationship with the victims. Police believe Charlene was the first to be attacked, possibly while she was downstairs. She tried to run up the stairs to escape, but was chased and tackled at the top of the stairs. Ernest was then attacked with a hard object, most likely a baseball bat, and hit at least 6 times, fatally. The killer then used a sharp object, believed to be one of the decorative swords in the victim's closet, to kill both men. The killer did not immediately leave the scene. He took the time to rearrange the furniture to make it look like a burglary, but the staging was clumsy and unconvincing. Large bills were still in the victim's pockets, and valuables were not taken. At around 12:42 a.m. on March 8th, a security camera near Castlewood captured a red sports car leaving the residential area, which matches the time the crime was completed. Several days after that fateful evening, Mr. and Mrs. Shearer's daughter began to feel uneasy. She kept calling her parents but only received voicemail. This was very different from their usual routine. When the calls continued for the 7th day without a response, she decided to call Castlewood Country Club, where her parents regularly stayed, to ask someone to check on the situation. On March 14, 2008, the club's security staff came to check on the house. The door was locked, but there were no signs of forced entry. When they entered, they found the bodies of Mr. Ernest and Mrs. Charlene in their nightgowns, lying in 2 different areas of the house. The scene stunned everyone present at the time. The police quickly sealed off the scene. Initial traces showed that this was not a normal burglary. The house appeared to have been ransacked, but nothing of value had been taken. Cash was still in Mr. Ernest's trouser pockets. Blood splatter on the walls, ceiling, and floor indicated the violence of the attack. On the tile floor near the entrance, investigators found the imprint of a Nike sneaker, larger than the victim's shoe size. Another important detail was that the cabinet containing Mr. Ernest's collection of decorative swords had been left open, indicating that the killer had knowledge of the house. At this point, the investigation began in earnest, and all eyes were on one person. Immediately after discovering the crime scene, Alameda County Police began to review all possibilities that could lead to the motive for the crime. Initially, they suspected that it was a burglary, but a series of details quickly eliminated that theory. There were no signs of forced entry, valuable property was still intact, and the scene showed signs of being clumsily staged. When examining the scene more closely, investigators discovered the print of a size 12 Nike sneaker in the pool of blood. An unusual detail because Mr. Ernest did not wear shoes of that size. In addition, a sword appeared to be missing from the family's decorative sword cabinet. Investigators began to review those closest to the victim. The couple's daughter was living in Utah and had a clear alibi. But the son, Ernie Shearer Jr., but could not prove where he was between the afternoon of March 7th and the following morning. When asked to cooperate with the investigation, Ernie appeared calm and said he was home alone in the city of Brea, Southern California, about 600 kilometers away from the scene. However, his cell phone had been turned off for 17 hours, a period that coincided with the time of the crime. A few days later, when police found security camera footage of a red Camaro leaving the Castlewood area at 12:42 a.m., the exact type of car Ernie was driving, suspicions began to rise, and that was just the beginning. After becoming the prime suspect, Ernie Shearer Jr. was invited to the investigation agency to clarify the incident. During the interrogation, he remained calm and asserted his innocence. He said that on the night of the incident, he slept alone at his home in Brea, Southern California, and did not leave the area. When asked about his means of transportation, Ernie said that he drove a red Camaro and said that the police could check the signal from his phone to verify the itinerary. However, data showed that his phone was turned off at the time of the incident, which made his statement even more suspicious. In the following days, Ernie suddenly left his residence, drove through many different states and used a fake name to meet women on websites. It was his evasive behavior and attempts to create a new identity that strengthened the police's suspicions. At this point, the person who unexpectedly plays a key role is Robin, Ernie's ex-wife. At first, she still trusts her husband, but after remembering the detail of him pointing to a sword in the closet and muttering, "I wonder where the second one went," she begins to have doubts. Robin agrees to cooperate with the police. In a secretly recorded call, she mentions that the police have video footage of a car identical to Ernie's at the scene. His long silence on the other end of the line is not the answer, but the strongest evidence that the truth is gradually emerging. After Robin's valuable recorded call, the police continued to sift through the remaining details. A major breakthrough came when they reviewed the crime scene photos and discovered a small but unusual item, a piece of blood-stained paper lying near the attack site. It was the warranty card for a Nike youth baseball bat. The bat did not belong to the Shearers and had no reason to be in their home. This detail was immediately traced. A purchase receipt showed that on March 7, 2008, at a Nike store in Nevada, just a few hundred yards from where Ernie was last seen, someone paid in cash for 3 items: a baseball bat, a pair of size 12 Nike shoes, and a pair of goalie gloves. This was the toolkit that investigators believed the killer used to commit the crime. The fact that these items matched the traces at the scene helped to strengthen the suspicion. All the details gradually closed around the name Ernie Shearer Jr. On January 4, 2011, the trial of Ernie Shearer Jr. officially began after nearly 3 years of investigation. Because of the sensitive nature of the case, the trial did not allow live recording, but the interest of the media and the public was still very high. The prosecution presented a tight but circumstantial chain of evidence. From the camera video recording the red Camaro appearing in Castlewood at the exact time of the crime, to the receipt for the purchase of a baseball bat and sneakers that matched the scene. They also emphasized the unusual signs in the defendant's behavior after the crime, such as thoroughly washing the car, turning off the phone, using a fake name, and fleeing to multiple states. Ernie's ex-wife, Robin, was called as a witness. A recorded call between her and her ex-husband was played in court, in which Ernie was unusually silent when asked about the security camera video. Ernie took the stand and maintained his innocence. However, his overly confident demeanor before the jury, even appearing friendly with a female member at one point, was seen as insincere. After a 3-month trial, the jury found Ernie Shearer Jr. guilty of first-degree murder of his own parents. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The verdict brought to a close a harrowing case where betrayal came not from strangers, but from the closest family members. The truth about the deaths of Ernest and Charlene Shearer was finally revealed. But for their family, justice could not ease the immense pain. Not only did they lose their parents suddenly and hauntingly, but they also had to face the bitter truth. The perpetrator of the crime was their own son, the man they loved, trusted, and helped with all their heart. For the daughter, the pain became complete when she not only lost her loved one, but also witnessed the destruction of her entire family. She could not imagine that one day she would have to stand in court, listening to the details of her parents' deaths, and the person accused was her own brother. For Ernie's ex-wife, Robin, the trauma comes not just from her partner's betrayal, but also from the enormous responsibility of raising her son alone, and one day having to tell him the truth that his father was the one who caused the family's tragedy. For Ernie's young son, the memory of his father is only a vague image of someone who drove a red convertible and lived with his mother for a short time. He will grow up with a question that no one can fully answer. Why? The Shearer case is a stark reminder of what can happen when greed, frustration, and simmering conflict are pushed to the limit. It shows that a calm exterior does not always reflect peace within a family. Small cracks, if left unresolved, can build up over time and lead to irreparable consequences. It also highlights the importance of connection and sharing within the family. When the generation gap becomes too wide, when expectations and reality are at odds, a lack of dialogue and understanding can turn loved ones into strangers. For those facing financial pressures, societal expectations, or poor personal choices? This case is also a reminder that no circumstance can justify hurting those who once loved and trusted you the most.